Fear is not real. It's a shadow, an illusion that only exists when you give it power. It has no substance, no true form. It's a choice, a belief you allow to take root in your mind. I've seen men paralyzed by fear, frozen in place, unable to act. But I've also seen those who step forward, stare fear in the face, and become unstoppable. The difference: one sees fear as a prison, the other sees it as an illusion. I've been tested by fear countless times. In the backstreets of Hong Kong, where fights were raw and survival was never guaranteed. In Hollywood, where doors were slammed in my face and people told me, "You don't belong here." Every time, I had a choice: to bow to fear or to break through it. I chose to break through. Here's the truth. Fear will never leave you. It will always be there, whispering, waiting, testing you. But the question is, will you be its prisoner, or will you master it? Today, I'll share 7 lessons that will change how you see fear forever. If you listen, if you apply them, you'll move through life with confidence, power, and freedom. Because once you see fear for what it truly is, it can no longer control you. 1. Fear is created by the mind. You are not born with fear. No child enters this world afraid of failure, rejection, or taking action. Fear is learned. It's the voice in your mind that whispers, "You're not strong enough. You're not ready. You'll fail." But here's the truth. Your mind is a powerful tool. It can either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Fear doesn't exist in the physical world. It lives only in your thoughts. And thoughts can be changed. Instead of resisting fear, observe it. Acknowledge its presence, but don't let it take control. Fear is like a cloud passing in the sky. It may seem overwhelming, but if you let it drift, it will disappear. The moment you recognize fear as nothing more than a thought, you strip it of its power. 2. Don't fight fear. Flow with it. Most people believe they must fight fear, resist it, or push it away. But the more you resist, the stronger it becomes. Fighting fear is like struggling in quicksand. The harder you fight, the deeper you sink. Instead, learn to flow with it. Let it come, and let it go. Fear is a natural reaction. It's not something to eliminate, but something to understand. When fear arises, don't tense up. Don't try to block it or force it away. Instead, acknowledge it, breathe, and move forward. Water doesn't resist obstacles. It flows around them, over them, or through them. Fear works the same way. It only controls you if you stand rigid against it. But when you remain fluid, adaptable, and calm, fear loses its grip. 3. Action destroys fear. Fear is like a shadow. It grows the longer you stand still. The more you think, the tighter its grip becomes. It whispers doubts, plants hesitation, and convinces you that you're not ready. But the moment you take action, fear disappears. Fear lives in the mind. It feeds on overthinking, hesitation, and the endless cycle of what-ifs. But action cuts through it like a blade. The moment you move, fear has no place to exist. Just like stepping into cold water. The first moment may feel shocking, but once you're in, it becomes nothing. The key to overcoming fear is simple. Don't wait. Don't overthink. Move. Act. Even if you feel afraid, take the first step. Fear cannot survive in the presence of decisive action. 4. Train your mind like a warrior. A warrior doesn't wait for fear to strike. He prepares. He sharpens his mind just as he sharpens his body, knowing that hesitation is defeat. The battlefield is not always physical. In life, the battle is often within. Between courage and doubt, action and hesitation. Fear is like an untrained opponent in the mind. It will attack you whenever you're weak, whenever you're unprepared. If you don't train your mind to handle fear, it will control you. But if you discipline your thoughts, if you condition your mind to stay strong under pressure, fear loses its power. Training the mind is a daily practice. Push yourself. Challenge your limits. Do things that make you uncomfortable. Speak even when your voice shakes. Act even when doubt creeps in. Each time you face fear and push through, your mind becomes stronger, and a strong mind is unstoppable. 5. Don't be paralyzed by the opinions of others. Many people live in chains, not physical chains, but the chains of others' opinions. They fear judgment, criticism, and rejection. So they silence themselves. They hesitate to follow their dreams because they're afraid of what people might say. But ask yourself, will these people live your life for you? Will they walk your path? Fight your battles? Then why should their opinions hold power over you? The truth is, no matter what you do, people will always have something to say. If you follow your own path, some will admire you, while others will resent you. If you try to please everyone, you'll please no one, not even yourself. To master fear, you must let go of the need for approval. Be bold enough to live by your own standards, even if others don't understand. Don't let their doubts become your doubts. Don't let their fears become your fears. What matters is not what they think of you, but what you think of yourself. 6. Accept death and you will be free. At the root of all fear is one great fear: the fear of death. The fear of losing, failing, or being rejected. These are all shadows of the greatest fear of all: the fear that one day everything will end. But let me ask you, what is death? Is it an enemy, or is it simply a natural part of life? The moment you accept that one day you will die, you gain something powerful: freedom. A man who accepts death has nothing to fear. He no longer hesitates. He no longer holds back. He understands that time is the most precious thing he has. He doesn't waste it in fear. He acts. He moves. He loves. He creates. He becomes unstoppable. To conquer fear, you must make peace with the one thing no man can escape: his own mortality. Once you do, fear loses its grip, and you will live more fully than you ever thought possible. 7. Be fully present. Fear cannot exist in the now. Fear lives in the past and the future. It doesn't exist in the present moment. When you're afraid, what are you really afraid of? You're afraid of something that might happen, something that hasn't even occurred yet. But the present moment is different. In the now, there is no fear. There is only action, movement, and life. When you train yourself to stay fully present, fear loses its power. You're not thinking about what could go wrong, nor are you dwelling on past mistakes. You're simply here, moving, breathing, living. The key to conquering fear is to stop living in the what-ifs of the future or the regrets of the past. Train your mind to exist fully in this moment, because in the now, you are free. Fear is not the enemy, it's the teacher. Fear is not something to run from. It's not your enemy, it's your greatest teacher. Fear is a signal. It tells you where you're weak, where you need to grow, and where you haven't yet developed strength. The problem isn't fear itself. The problem is how you respond to it. Most people see fear and turn away, avoiding what makes them uncomfortable. But a warrior does the opposite. He moves toward his fear. He looks it in the eye and asks, "What are you here to teach me?" When you start using fear as a teacher instead of an enemy, you'll never be stopped again. Fear will no longer control you. you will control it. And when you control fear, you control your destiny. Final thought. Fear is an illusion. It can only control you if you believe it's real. But once you see through it, you are free. Be fearless, not because you don't feel fear, but because you don't let fear stop you. Now go. Live. Act. Move. Don't let the illusion hold you back. The only limits are the ones you refuse to break.